Happy Monday, folks. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandajis here on our 13 News Now Plus streaming platform. The main takeaways of today's chat is going to be for our enhanced flooding threat as we get into the day on Tuesday. Kind of not a nice start to our work week, right? Temperatures were in the mid-70s. It was humid. It was mainly cloudy. And as we pushed into the afternoon, we started to see a few more showers work into the picture. That chance for rain goes way up late tonight, and throughout the day tomorrow, we're looking at bouts of heavy downpours that could be coming down 1 to 2 inches per hour. It's going to be almost tropical-like with the setup that we'll have in place, and that could lead to some flooding. So a weather impact alert is up for tomorrow for the duration of our Tuesday. Heavy rain, flooded roadways, and what we need you to do, you know this, turn around, don't drown. If you're out and about on the roads tomorrow and you see a flooded roadway, just don't drive through. You know how awkward of a conversation that is to talk with your insurance adjuster of why you drove into a flooded roadway? Want to steer clear of that, okay? So just turn around, save yourself a whole lot of headache out there, and we probably will see a few flooded roadways tomorrow, especially in those vulnerable locations where we can overwhelm those drainage basins quite easily with just a brief heavy downpour. And we're looking at prolonged downpours being a threat for tomorrow. So weather impact alert. Let's start off with live radar. We've already got some rain out there. We had rain earlier. If we even go back 3 hours here, you see the loop. It was a little more widespread as we were in the 5 o'clock hour. Most of it was light, and it's really drying up as it pushes to the north and east. And what's going on? Well, there's actually an area, a pretty dominant area of high pressure that's parked over the eastern portions of New England. And that's holding off this kind of fire hose of tropical moisture and heavy downpours just to our south and west. But that high pressure will be slowly pushing east and allowing this rain overspread the area as we go through tonight and into tomorrow. Out there right now, just a few showers, a light sprinkles, really, if any of that's even reaching the ground out through south side right now. Maybe an ocean view, a few light sprinkles, north end of Suffolk, over near Bridgeport area as you move towards Belleville, right around Bennett's Creek, Bennett's Pasture Road, to the state line, South Chesapeake, north of Moyock, a few sprinkles for you there, Bear Quarter, that's really about it. And you get a little bit closer down to Edenton. This is where we're finding a little bit heavier rain, indicated by the yellows and oranges showing up there. And that could be a little brief heavy downpour moving into Edenton there, right over the far western portions of the Albemarle Sound. Going out a little bit farther, check this out. Zoom out a little bit and look at, we have all our different radar sites up. This is a 3-hour loop, and you can kind of see the general trajectory here of where this rain is moving, right? So we've got a general south to north pull of a stream of moisture coming off the Atlantic, and there is a subtle east jog to it as well as we go through time. So that indicates to us where the rain is heading, right? It'll be overspreading us from west to east overnight tonight and certainly into tomorrow as well. Already popping up here, you can see these aqua-colored polygons that are showing up on radar here. And what these are flood advisories. Now, this is indicative of what we're going to be facing tomorrow. So these are put up when there's an excessive amount of rain over a short amount of time, causing the risk of some street flooding. So that's why all of these are put up. There are numerous of them. There's one just off to the northeast of Raleigh. We've got another one southwest of Raleigh, and one just to the southwest of Roanoke, actually, as well, right along the I-81 corridor there. We will likely see numerous flood advisories put up in our area tomorrow. Even some flash flooding could be a potential as well as we go into the day. Now, also, I want to bring to your attention some of the darker or the brighter reflectivities that are coming up on radar here, indicated by the yellows and the oranges. And notice there's also some flashes of lightning in there too. There is a convective component to this. And overall, even though our threat for any severe thunderstorms or even strong thunderstorms is very low, but not zero, there were a few very isolated tornado warnings in this cell earlier today. So there is a general spin in the atmosphere. And if some of these storms develop and try to take advantage of overall, a pretty conducive environment for severe weather, high amounts of humidity, warm temperatures, ample amounts of moisture. And we have that dynamic of that spin, too, with that upper level low well to our west. There's the slim chance that there could be a few isolated stronger storms tomorrow as this band pushes into our area. And I'll show you on Futurecast what that looks like in here in just a little bit. But I just want to put that out there just in case you see us pop up tomorrow on air with a random tornado warning. Even though we won't be under any watches likely or any outlooks for severe weather, I think there's still a sneaky potential of that being the case as that band pushes on through tomorrow. But look at this fetch of moisture here coming in over Wilmington. You can see the banding taking shape there. All of these areas are susceptible to some flooding and flash flooding over the next 24 hours. And eventually that all moves into our area too. So here's the players on the field, okay? The big dominant area of low pressure, an upper level low, is parked pretty much over northern portions of Mississippi. You can see that broad spin in the atmosphere, right? More squally activity as you get closer to the center. This is an upper level feature. It's not a surface low. The surface low is actually parked well to the north and east, north of Atlanta. So that's responsible for really the surface lift that we're seeing along the eastern seaboard right now. But you have that low that is very slow moving, if not stationary. And then you have the area of high pressure that's parked to the north and east. So we have a little bit of an atmospheric traffic jam right now. This low wants to lift out and be progressive and lift out of the area and clear out, but it can't. It's running up against that area of high pressure for now. So that'll remain locked in place for at least the next couple days, which is why our rain threat will really stay pronounced tomorrow, even into Wednesday, and then slowly we'll see those rain chances tick down as we wrap up the work week and head into the weekend, which is good news. We'll get the rain out of the way by the weekend, most of it at least, as it looks right now. So that's the big picture you can see. Just look at this tropical connection. As we go down, you track all this rain all the way down into northern portions of the Caribbean. Okay, that's where that moisture fetch is coming from. And when you step outside over the next few days, the humidity will make it feel like it's tropical. We'll have dew points that are well up into the 60s. And one of my favorite things we're going to talk about in a second is the precipitable water values, the PWatts. Wait until you see some of these numbers. We typically take that out during a tropical system, but we'll take it out this go around and you'll see why there's that tropical connection. So for the threat of the heavy rainfall, flash flooding, there's a flood watch up for the majority of our area. This is up now through tomorrow night. Possibility it even does get extended into Wednesday because I think we still carry at least a marginal risk for some heavy downpours Wednesday afternoon, which I'll show you that on Futurecast too in just a minute. The only place that's not included is the eastern shore. You're not going to get heavy rain. No, you will. Just the threat is a little more enhanced farther to the south and west, peninsula, south side, northeastern North Carolina. So all of us pretty much are under that flood watch. Now here's a look at a product from the Weather Prediction Center. It's an office that's under NOAA. It's pretty much a brother or sister of the Weather Service, right? And this is their flood potential outlook. You know how we sometimes have the Storm Prediction Center outlook for severe weather? It's got a level 1 to a level 5. Well, the WPC Weather Prediction Center puts out a flood potential, and there are 4 tiers of that threat. So for tonight into tomorrow morning, the threat is a level 1. You see in the brighter green there, and the darker green a little farther west is a level 2 threat. Now we look at tomorrow. The entire area, except for the eastern shore, pretty much mirrors the flood watch, right? Level 2 threat for flood potential across the majority of Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina from tomorrow morning through Wednesday morning. And that's when we do expect the heaviest of the rain to work on through. You see on the banner there's the possible, likely, very likely, and extreme threat for flooding. So we are right in the middle of the road, a level 2 out of 4 for our area for a flood threat tomorrow. Now let's get to the PWatts. One of the best acronyms in meteorology, precipitable water values. And what in the heck does that mean? So PWatts is if you take a column of air from the ground where you and I live all the way to the top of the atmosphere, and you take that column of air and you compress it and you squeeze out all the moisture like a sponge, and you measure that moisture. How much liquid water you get is the PWatt value. So what we're seeing here as we go through time, this is a model output, by the way. So we're starting things off tonight, and see the key up in the top right there. So notice the yellows and the greens, especially by tomorrow midday. We're starting to get to that moderate to high level. And we're taking that column of air, compressing it, and we're squeezing out about 1.5 to 2 inches of water. That's a significantly high amount for this time of the year in our area. So when you get levels that high, that enhances the risk for very heavy rainfall rates, high rainfall rates, 1 to 2 inches per hour rates, which is tropical in nature, and that increases your flooding threat. So PWatts are directly correlated to our flood threat, which you can see we have during the day tomorrow. We have an enhanced threat for heavy, heavy rainfall and rainfall rates, leading to that flash flooding threat. So that's a look at our PWatt values for tomorrow. And then you can see by Tuesday night, they do diminish slightly. Still elevated, but PWatt values will go down just a little bit. And here's a look at model output for rainfall. We talked about there being 1.5 inches to 2 inches of available moisture in that column of air, right? Well, what these downpours will use is they'll capitalize on that amount of moisture, and they'll wring out the atmosphere for all it's worth, like a sponge just wringing that out and having heavy rainfall. And that could correlate to 2, 3, maybe localized areas of 4 inches of rain just between now and tomorrow night. So that's a relatively short window of time, meaning that even though our ground's pretty dry, ground will get saturated pretty quick with rainfall rates like that, and could lead to drainage basins, sewer, catch basins getting overwhelmed. Usually when that happens, though, once the rain lets up a little bit, it recovers quickly, so it's usually brief. But nonetheless, it's a risk, especially if you're on the roads tomorrow. And this will quickly give way to filling rivers and creeks a little bit higher, too, when you're looking at that much rain in a roughly 24-hour period of time. Now let's look at it on the maps, okay? Here's a look at Futurecast. This is now. It's a pretty good initialization. We saw radar. You can see radar over here. That's the initialization of the model. Here's radar. Pretty good. Pretty good initialization. Again, here's a look at the model. Snapshot of the current setup. Not too far off. We've got a few sprinkles out there, most of the rain west and southwest. Jump ahead to, say, midnight tonight. We're starting to see the radar fill in. So great sleeping weather tonight. The rain will tick on in from southwest to north and east by tomorrow morning. And then, of course, rush hour on Wednesday. Pretty active radar, it's looking like right now. So what I'm mostly concerned with is this band here. You see the bright colors. It really jumps out. This band oriented from northwest of Richmond to the south and east through Hertford and Murfreesboro at 7 a.m., okay? Morning commute. We've got very heavy rain, probably rainfall rates 1 to 2 inches an hour in these areas. But here's the thing. This is just one model run. If this were to set up just 30 to 50 miles east, we've got big problems for the morning commute. Heavy rain across the majority of the interstates and heavily traveled roadways. So that's the thing that we have to watch here. We get a new update on this model coming up at around 10 o'clock. So during my 10 o'clock stream tonight, we may be able to get this in. It depends on exactly when it comes in. Usually it's like 10:20. So if we're going, we can probably get the newest data, and I'll share that with you. So at 10 o'clock stream tonight, we'll have a new update on this. But right now it has it oriented northwest to southeast, just to our southwest. You can see it there at 7 a.m. Let's just go ahead a little bit here. We'll jump to 8 o'clock, to 9 o'clock. Notice the slow movement. There's a lot of heavy rain over a small area for a long period of time. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Notice it's encroaching on south side. And then certainly by lunchtime, here's where we are. Oriented now from north to south, pretty much across the peninsulas and into northeastern North Carolina. That could be rainfall rates 1 to 2 inches per hour. Again, lunchtime travel tomorrow could be impacted if this model is right. Again, it could be shifted 20, 30 miles east, or it could be lagging still off to the west and get hung up along the I-95 corridor. It's all a possibility. It's always so hard for the models to decipher where exactly the corridor of the heaviest rain will be focused. So this model says around lunchtime, pretty much through the heart of Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina. So we're looking at several hours of heavy rain, right through 5 o'clock. We still have bands coming up from south to north. So that's what we call training downpours. When you get development to the south of a location and it continues to plume north. And it's just ongoing. It's an onslaught of heavy rain. And models are indicating that's a possibility tomorrow, too. So that enhances the flooding threat. So now here we are at 5 in the afternoon. This is a good 12 hours after heavy rain is built in. So we've got 12 hours of pretty heavy rain. Still have some downpours out there, too. And also, let me go back to this. When we have this band set up here, I mentioned that there's that sneaky threat for maybe some severe weather in here. That would be where we'll be looking for it. Embedded within that line, just some modest spin could initiate the Weather Service to throw a tornado warning on it or something. So that's where we're going to look for that tomorrow, midday or so, or even later in the morning hours in the early afternoon. So don't be surprised. Even though we're not looking for a severe weather threat tomorrow, I just can't completely rule it out with this setup. So we've got that in there then, early afternoon through the evening commute, still some heavy downpours. And then finally, with the setting sun tomorrow evening, we should begin to see the heaviest rain, the axis of heavier rain, lift to the north and east and be more of an issue for northern Virginia into the nation's capital. Quiet pretty much, again, according to this model, overnight through Wednesday morning. So that'll give us a chance for drainage basins to catch up, for basins to clear out, dry out a little bit. Wednesday morning, your quiet Wednesday morning commute should be better. Still wet, obviously. Still warm, still very, very muggy, too. But as we go into early afternoon, let me backtrack here and go to lunchtime. So we could have a few isolated showers out there still. But models here are indicating that we could see some breaks in the cloud deck. You see the clearing sky out there by I-85, 95 in the south side as well. With it being so humid, with us having an area of low pressure and upper level low not too far away, adding the energy and the lift, the more sunshine we see on Wednesday, the better odds of seeing more heavy downpours and probably even a few storms as well. And the models do hint at this. So here we are at lunchtime. We see some sunshine. It's going to feel very tropical out there. And then by 2 o'clock, we're starting to see storms and downpours bubbling on up. You see it over Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, northeastern North Carolina. Look what this does is we just go out a couple more hours. Flare, the whole radar just ignites. It's like turning the burner on a stove. Okay, you're heating it up, the sun's coming out, the burner's going on, it gets to a boil and the atmosphere bubbles up. And we start to see storms and downpours develop as a result. So I would expect that by Wednesday late afternoon, early evening, we are dealing with, again, another round of very heavy rain and storms if we do see that sunshine. Then, just as quickly, sun sets and all the activity begins to fall apart. It's all driven by the daytime heating. Once we lose that, once we turn off the burner on the stove, we'll see activity really come down. So it's going to be another time frame to watch late Wednesday afternoon into the first half of the evening for more heavy rain. That's after tomorrow's threat. So we may expand or extend our weather impact alert into the day on Wednesday as well for more heavy rain being a threat. So here's a look at rain chances tomorrow. Pretty much it's going to depend on where you're located. Radar will be active, but where that axis of the heaviest rain sets up, east or west, will determine how much rain you see and for how long. So look at pretty good odds, likely rainfall tomorrow, heavy at times through most of the area, pretty much across the entire region for the entire day. Now, that's not it. Our rain chances stay elevated because I told you how it's kind of an atmospheric traffic jam. Until we can get that upper level low to lift out, our rain chances will stay at least marginal through the end of the week. But notice there is a clear trend. After peaking on Tuesday, we start to see a downtrend in terms of those rain chances. So by Thursday and Friday, yeah, still isolated, scattered, maybe some storms in the afternoon. And even this weekend, isolated chances are still there. We're not going to be completely dry, but I think it's looking much better than it will be earlier in the week. So that's an improvement there. Something I also want to talk about is going to be the pronounced warm-up we're going to see this week. We'll have temperatures in the low 80s, low to mid 80s midweek, but really start to see a huge jump Friday and Saturday. We could have dual 90-degree days. So we've already had 2 90-degree days this year, one in early April, one on the 1st of May, and as we could have 2 in a row here, Friday and Saturday. On top of that, it is going to be extremely humid. And dew points up into the mid-60s, maybe upper 60s, means that we will once again visit a heat index or a feels-like temperature. When you have an air temperature around 90, dew points in the upper 60s, that would correlate to a feels-like temperature of, say, like 94 to 97. It's May. It shouldn't feel that hot so early. But that may be what's in the cards for later this week. So once we get out of the widespread rain and storm chances, we're going to go to the heat and humidity as we get towards the end of the week. And I think that does spill into the weekend. You see Saturday here is still very humid. In fact, there's even a bump here Friday and a Saturday that we could get the dew points into the 70s. That's more like what you'd find in July and August here in Hampton Roads. So unseasonably humid as we get that conveyor belt of tropical moisture to come up from the south and push north into our area. So very, very humid. And the air temperatures, too, look to stay very hot Friday into the upcoming weekend. And then we finally get a front to come on through from the northwest, and that will drop humidity and air temperatures still above normal by early next week, but back into the low 80s and just a little more doable to be outside. The humidity won't be as pronounced there. So that's the good news there. That'll be an improvement in the forecast there. But back over to radar. we've just got a few showers out there right now. Starting to see the downpours in Edenton. So this is where it's starting, right, to the southwest, and it's going to be spreading northeast. We've got heavy rain now out in Edenton, and just going back an hour, you can see that that general movement is from the south to the north. So heavy rain now going to be ongoing in the Edenton area, eventually over in Hertford and Gates, and even eastern portions of Bertie. And eventually that lifts towards the state line into parts of western Suffolk, Isle of Wight, over into Franklin, Southampton County, and then into Surrey. So, and then it's just going to progress its way east throughout the night tonight. But the bigger picture, again, you see this conveyor belt of moisture pretty much extending from our area all the way to the east of Florida, through the Keys, even over into Cuba, and tapping moisture into the Caribbean. So we've got a tropical connection to this fetch of moisture that is streaming just basically due north and up into our area as we're kind of in this atmospheric traffic jam. High pressure to the northeast, low pressure off to the west, stuck right in between. And we get that moisture fetch coming in from the south due north. So again, flood watch is up for the majority of the area. It does exclude the eastern shore, but everybody's going to be in on the heavy rainfall over the next 24 hours. Likelihood of there being a few flash flood warnings tomorrow, I'd say likely, especially in areas that are vulnerable to it, susceptible to the drainage flooding. If you drive around in Norfolk, Portsmouth, or Virginia Beach, you know what I'm talking about. You know those roadways that always typically flood, expect them to flood again for this amount of rain coming in this short amount of time. This is the amount of rain we're just in the next 24 hours, 2 to 4 inches. Broad, 2 to 4 inches across the entire area. Could we have some areas that are more? Sure. If that band of heavy rain sets up and stalls, we could be half foot of rain in some spots. So that's what we'll be watching for, and we will be doing streams on, this is a great channel that we have, folks. So if you're just joining us for the first time on 13 News Now Plus, we do these types of streams whenever there is impactful weather. So we have a weather impact team. If there's weather that's impacting you, you can bet that we'll be on 13 News Now Plus. And if it's like enhanced amounts of severe weather or impactful weather, you can bet that we'd be on here almost 24 hours a day with updates for you, as well as on the TV side. So tomorrow's going to be one of those days. We will be tracking the rain, the heaviest of the rain, where there are flooding spots. Marta Berglund will be on here tomorrow morning giving traffic updates throughout the day on impactful areas that are seeing some flooded roadways and things like that. Taylor Stephenson, Evan Stewart, and myself throughout the day. Again, I will be back here on this on 13 News Now Plus at 10 o'clock. And by that time, we will have some new model data to dive into. So I hope you'll join me again right before you go to bed. Well, not yet, because you got to watch 13 News Now on air at 11. We'll definitely have the model data by then, because it comes out around 10:15 and 10:30. So we'll wait for it, and we'll get to it. But that's the latest for this update. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great night, and I'll see you again in about 90 minutes.